Book 23, The Great Rooted Bed. Please make sure that you are still taking notes, writing down major events, characterization, any changes, figurative language. You're still writing those things down in your notes because that's what you're going to be using to study from. In this book, we're starting a little bit into the book. Penelope doesn't believe that Odysseus is himself, so he leaves to go get cleaned up after the battle, and then he's going to come back and talk to her. So they'd say, blind to what had happened, the great-hearted Odysseus was home again at last. The maid Eurynome bathed him, rubbed him down with oil, and drew around him a royal cape and choice tunic too. And Athena crowned the man with beauty head to foot, made him taller to all eyes, his build more massive. Yes, and down from his brow the great goddess ran his curls like thick hyacinth clusters full of blooms. As a master craftsman washes gold over beaten silver, a man the god of fire and Queen Athena train in every fine technique, and finishes of his latest effort handsome work. So she lavished splendor over his head and shoulders now. He stepped from his bath, glistening like a god, and back he went to the seat that he had left, and facing his wife declared, "Strange woman, so hard! The gods of Olympus made you harder than any other woman in the world. What other wife could have a spirit so unbending, holding back from her husband, home at last for her after bearing 20 years of brutal struggle? Come, nurse, make me a bed, I'll sleep alone. She has a heart of iron in her breast." "Strange man," wary Penelope said, "I'm not so proud, so scornful, nor am I overwhelmed by your quick change." So Odysseus is saying that he'll go sleep in another room because her heart is like iron. There are several similes and one extended or Homeric simile in this slide right here. "You look, how well I know, the way he looked, setting sail from Ithaca years ago aboard the long-oared ship. Come, Euryclea, move the sturdy bedstead out of our bridal chamber, that room the master built with his own hands. Take it out now, sturdy bed that it is, and spread it deep with fleece, blankets, and lustrous throws to keep him warm." Putting her husband to the proof, but Odysseus blazed up in fury, lashing out at his loyal wife. "Woman, your words, they cut me to the core. Who could move my bed? Impossible task, even for some skilled craftsman, unless a god came down in person, quick to lend a hand, lifted it out with ease and moved it elsewhere. Not a man on earth, not even at peak strength, would find it easy to prise it up and shift it. No, a great sign, a hallmark lies in its construction. I know. I built it myself, no one else." This was a test Penelope gave Odysseus. She knows that bed cannot be moved. It's heavy and it's huge, and so she said, "Oh, we'll just move it to another room for him." And Odysseus is like, "I see what you're doing," and he is proving that he is actually himself. "There was a branching olive tree inside our court, grown to its fullest prime, the bole like a column, thick set. Around it I built my bedroom, finished off the walls with good tight stonework roofed over soundly, and added doors hung well and snugly wedged. Then I lopped off the leafy crown of the olive, clean cutting the stump bare from roots up, planting it round with a bronze smoothing adze. I had the skill. I shaped it plumb to the line to make my bedpost, bored the holes it needed with an auger. Working from there, I built my bed start to finish. I gave it ivory inlays, gold and silver fittings, wove the straps across it, oxhide gleaming red. There's our secret. Sign, I'll tell you our life story. Does the bed, my lady, still stand planted firm? I don't know, or has someone chopped away that olive trunk and hauled our bedstead off?" So bed was actually made from a tree. He cut the top of the tree off. Inside the house, he built their bedroom around it when they built their house. And the tree, he cut the top of it off, but he made the bed from the base of the tree. So it's the stump and the roots, and he built the bed from that, and he used all the wood. So that bed can physically not be moved because it's actually still connected by tree roots into the ground. Living proof. Penelope felt her knees go slack, her heart surrender. Recognizing the strong, clear signs Odysseus offered, she dissolved in tears, rushed to Odysseus, flung her arms around his neck, and kissed his head and cried out, "Odysseus, don't flare up at me now, not you, always the most understanding man alive. The gods, it was the gods who sent us sorrow. They grudged us both a life in each other's arms, from the heady zest of youth to the stoop of old age. But don't fault me, angry with me now because I failed in the first glimpse to greet you, hold you so. In my heart of hearts I always cringed with fear. Some fraud might come, beguile me with his talk. The world is full of this sort, cunning ones who plot their own dark ends." Penelope explains that she was afraid he was going to be a fake, and she didn't want to believe it was him because she didn't want to be wrong. Remember Helen of Argos, Zeus's daughter. Would she have sported so in a stranger's bed if she had dreamed that Achaea's sons were doomed to fight and die to bring her home again? She's referring here to Helen of Troy, and she's saying would she have left if she knew that the man she was leaving with was going to die? Some god spurred her to do her shameless work. Not till then did her mind conceive that madness, blinding madness that caused her anguish, ours as well. But now, since you have revealed such overwhelming proof, the secret sign of our bed, which no one's ever seen but you and I and a single handmaid, Actorus, the servant my father gave me when I came, who kept the doors of our room you built so well. You've conquered my hard heart at last. The more she spoke, the more a deep desire for tears welled up inside his breast. He wept as he held the wife he loved, the soul of loyalty, in his arms at last. Joy warm as the joy that shipwrecked sailors feel when they catch a sight of land, Poseidon has struck their well-rigged ship on the open sea with gale winds and crushed walls of waves. Only a few escaped, swimming, struggling out of the frothing surf to reach the shore, their bodies crushed with salt, but buoyed up with joy. As they plant their feet on solid ground again, spared a deadly fate. So joyous now to the sight of her husband, vivid in her gaze, that her white arms embracing his neck would never for a moment let him go. Penelope is so happy he's home, and that's a great comparison of how happy she is. She's so happy that he's finally home with her. Down with her rose-red fingers might have shone upon their tears, if with her glinting eyes Athena had not thought of one more thing. She held back the night, and night lingered long at the western edge of the earth, while in the east she reigned in dawn of the golden throne at ocean's banks, commanding her not to yoke the wind-swift team that brings men light, blaze and aurora, the young colts that race the morning on. Athena actually stopped the day, so she kept the night going on longer. Yet now Odysseus, seasoned veteran, said to his wife, "Dear woman, we have still not reached the end of all our trials. One more labor lies in store, boundless, laden with danger, great and long, and I must brave it out from start to finish." So the ghost of Tiresias prophesied to me the day I went down to the house of death to learn our best route home, my comrades and my own. But come, let's go to bed, dear woman, at long last. Delight in sleep, delight in each other, come. If it's bed you want, reserved Penelope replied, it's bed you'll have. Whenever. At the bottom here, Odysseus is explaining what he has to do. So Tiresias the prophet, who they saw when they were in Hades, told Odysseus that he had to take an oar, along some oar like you would row with, and he had to walk until he found people who have never seen the sea. And they don't season things with salt, which means they don't live near the sea that has salt in it. That's where they would have gotten their salt. Sea salt. He said, when another traveler falls in with me, so is walking with me, and calls the weight on his shoulders a fan to winnow grain, because they wouldn't have known what an oar was, so basically thinking it was another tool. Then he's supposed to, I'm going to flip to the slide we're on again, he's supposed to plant the oar in the earth and sacrifice beasts to Poseidon. And we're going to keep on reading now. And at last my own death will steal upon me, a gentle, painless death, far from the sea it comes to take me down, born with the years and ripe old age, with all my people here in blessed peace around me. At this the prophet said will come to pass. And so, Penelope said in her great wisdom, if the gods will really grant a happier old age, there's hope that we'll escape our trials at last. So husband and wife confided in each other, while nurse Eurynomé under the flaring brands were making up the bed with coverings deep and soft. This is what Odysseus has to do, and he will live in old age. So that's what that means. If he does this to Poseidon, he will live to be an old man. And working briskly as soon as they'd made it snug, back to her room the old nurse went to sleep. As Eurynomé, their attendant, torch in hand, lighted the royal couple's way to bed, and leading them to their chamber, slipped away. Rejoicing in each other, they returned to their bed, the old familiar place they loved so well. Now Telemachus, the cowherd and the swineherd, rested their dancing feet and had the women do the same. And across the shadowed hall the men lay down to sleep. But the royal couple, once they'd reveled in all the longed-for joys of love, reveled in each other's stories. The radiant woman telling of all she'd borne at home, watching them there, the infernal crowd of suitors, slaughtering herds of cattle and good fat sheep while keen to win her hand, draining the broached vats dry of vintage wine. And great Odysseus told his wife of all the pains he had dealt out to other men, and all the hardships he'd endured himself, his story first to last, and she listened on enchanted. Sleep never sealed her eyes till all was told. He launched in with how he fought the Sicynes down, then how he came to the Lotus Eater's lush green land, then all the crimes of the Cyclops, and how he paid him back for the gallant men the monster ate without a qualm. Then how he visited Aeolus, who gave him a hero's welcome. Then he sent him off, but the homeward run was not his fate, not yet. Some sudden squalls snatched him away once more and drove him over the swarming sea, groaning in despair. Then how he moored Telepolis, where Lacedaemonians wrecked his fleet and killed his men at arms. He told her of Circe's cunning magic wiles, and how he voyaged down in his long-benched ship to the moldering house of death to consult Tiresias, ghostly seer of Thebes, and he saw old comrades there, and he saw his mother, who bore and reared him as a child. He told how he caught the sirens' voices throbbing in the wind, and how he had scudded past the clashing rocks, past grim Charybdis, past Scylla, whom no rover had ever coasted by, home free, and how his shipmates slaughtered the cattle of the sun, and Zeus, the king of thunder, split his racing ship with a reeking bolt and killed his hardy comrades, all his fighting men at a stroke, but he alone escaped their death at sea. He told how he reached Ogygia's shores, and the nymph Calypso held him back deep in her arching caverns, craving him for a husband, cherished him, vowed to make him immortal, ageless all his days, yes, but she never won the heart inside him, never. Then how he reached the Phaeacians, heavy sailing there, who with all their hearts had prized him like a god, and sent him off in a ship to his own beloved land, giving him bronze and hoards of gold and robes. And that was the last he told her, just as sleep overcame him, sleep loosing his limbs, slipping the toils of anguish from his mind. Athena, her eyes afire, had fresh plans. Once she thought he'd had his heart's content of love and sleep at his wife's side. Straightway she roused young Dawn from ocean's banks to her golden throne, to bring men light, and roused Odysseus too, who rose from his soft bed and advised his wife in parting. Dear woman, we both have had our fill of trials, you in our house weeping over my journey home, fraught with storms and torment true, and I pinned down in pain by Zeus and other gods, for all my desire blocked from reaching home. But now that we've arrived at our bed together, the reunion that we yearned for all these years, look after the things still left me in our house. But as for the flocks those strutting suitors plundered, much I'll recoup myself, making many raids. The rest our fellow Ithacans will supply, till all my folds are full of sheep again. What he's saying there is that he's going to basically get sheep back from the people who took sheep from him, from their families. He's going to get his sheep and basically resupply his animals that are lost and have been eaten. But now I must be off to the upland farm, our orchard green with trees, to see my father. Good old man, weighed down with so much grief for me. And you, dear woman, sensible as you are, I would advise you still. Quick as the rising sun the news will spread of the suitors that I killed inside the house. So climb to your lofty chamber with your women, sit tight there, see no one, question no one. Odysseus wants Penelope to be safe, so he's telling her to go to her private rooms. She would have had her own little space. Go back there and stay there until I get back, so no one bothers you about all the suitors that I killed. I'll handle that when I get back. Odysseus is going to see his father, and he told his whole speech about where he's been, what he's done. And he did, if you don't remember in the summary, he did see his mother in the house of Hades, and she died when he was gone. She was so distressed. But his father is still alive, so he's going to go see his father and tell his father that he's alive. He strapped his burnished armor round his shoulders, roused Telemachus, the cowherd, and the swineherd, and told them to take up weapons honed for battle. They snapped to commands, harnessed up in bronze, opened the doors, and strode out. Odysseus in the lead. By now the daylight covered the land, but Pallas, shrouding them all in darkness, quickly led the four men out of town.